Hello there, very good evening and welcome to the news tonight here on Rajya TV. I'm Tracy Shilshi and in the next 30 minutes I'll be getting you the day's top stories, starting with the headlines. Prime Minister Narendra Modi holds bilateral talks with Myanmar Foreign Minister Aung San Suu Kyi. Both nations signed 3 MOUs to cooperation in power, banking and insurance. Vice President Mohammad Hamid Ansari holds talks with top Algerian leadership, reiterates India's resolve to fight against global threat of terrorism. Both nations discuss common approaches to tackle menace. Congress questions government over Defence Minister's remarks on the surgical strikes. BJP claims the opposition party is playing politics over a sensitive issue. The GST Council proposes a 4-tier structure for goods and services tax, including lower rate of 6%, standard rates of 12 and 18%, and a cess to compensate the states. And the US presidential nominees will face off in the third and final debate tonight. Opinion polls show Donald Trump trailing further behind Hillary Clinton. Top story, Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Myanmar Foreign Minister Aung San Suu Kyi held bilateral talks in New Delhi today. The two leaders held extensive talks on ways to enhance cooperation, besides witnessing signing of 3 agreements in the field of power, banking and insurance. Here are more details.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi met State Councillor and Foreign Minister of Myanmar Aung San Suu Kyi in New Delhi on Wednesday. Both leaders held delegation-level talks, following which 3 MOUs were signed between India and Myanmar. The agreements are aimed at boosting cooperation in sectors like power, banking and insurance. Extending support to India's neighbour, Prime Minister Modi expressed the government's commitment to the development of Myanmar.
India has a robust development cooperation program with Myanmar, from the mega connectivity projects like Kaladam and trilateral highway to project in the fields of human resource development. Today we have agreed to enhance our engagement in several areas, including agriculture, power, renewable energy, oil and gas, and financial sector.
The Prime Minister hailed Suu Kyi as an old friend and praised her efforts in establishing democracy in Myanmar.
Myanmar has commenced a new journey under your able leadership. It is a journey of hope and much promise. Let me assure you, Excellency, that as you lead Myanmar to become a modern, secure, economically prosperous and better connected nation, India and its friendship will stand with you in full support and solidarity.
Aung San Suu Kyi said she's always admired India for being the biggest and greatest democracy in the world.
In our struggle, we have been helped greatly by the thoughts of Mahatma Gandhi and Jawaharlal Nehru, great leaders of the Indian independence movement, who have inspired us with their vision and with their belief in their people. We, as a nation struggling to make democratic culture take root in our country, believe in our people. Without a belief in our people, we could not think of setting up a democratic system of government.
Suu Kyi also urged India to help Myanmar grow on the path of economic as well as political development.
We have much to do. We are behind India in the field of development as well as in the field of politics, if you like, political development, both political and economic development. But we are confident that we will be able to make up the lost time with the support and understanding of our friends. This is why the capacity building programs that India is envisaging for us will be of tremendous help.
Suu Kyi is on her maiden official visit to India after her National League for Democracy assumed power in Myanmar in March this year. She met President Pranab Mukherjee on Tuesday and attended the BRICS BIMSTEC summit in Goa on Monday.
Aung San Suu Kyi's visit to India as a state councillor is historic, and indeed it is a history in making. We had many ups and downs in our relationship with Myanmar, but let's hope it will be a consistent one because she is a leader of democratic traditions. Akhilesh Suman for Rajya Sabha Television with camera person Kamaljeet in Delhi.
Meanwhile, Vice President Mohammad Hamid Ansari had a bilateral meeting with the Algerian Prime Minister Abdel Malek Selal today. He was in fact accompanied by the Minister of State for Road Transport and Highways, Mansouk El Mandavia. The Vice President also held wide-ranging discussions with the President and also the Foreign Minister. The talks centered on taking the India-Algeria ties to a new level and rejuvenating bilateral relations. Other issues like anti-terror cooperation between India and Algeria also figured in the meetings. Secretary West in the External Affairs Ministry, Sujata Mehta, said that terrorism is not new for Algeria and has fought a very difficult terror group in the recent past. Now, a day after the meeting of the Parliamentary Standing Committee on Foreign Affairs, the main opposition party, Congress, accused the ruling BJP of using the surgical strike issue for political benefits. Foreign Secretary S. Jaishankar was in fact quoted yesterday telling the parliamentary panel that the army had carried out target-specific, limited-caliber counter-terrorist operations across the LOC in the past as well, but this is the first time that the government has gone public about it. The party today raised questions pointing out the differences between the Foreign Secretary's statement and Defence Minister Manohar Parrikar's remarks. Parrikar had earlier claimed that such strikes were carried out by the Indian Army for the first time. The BJP, however, refuted the allegations and instead accused the Congress of playing politics on the issue.
Do not politicize surgical strikes. It's a great achievement of our great army, of a great nation. Second, that do not deny by falsehood that it has never ever happened before. Does it look good for no less than the defense minister of this country to be directly contradicted by no less than the foreign secretary of this country?
कमेटी की बैठक चूंकि गोपनीय होती है इसलिए उसके बारे में मुझे कुछ नहीं कहना चाहिए, पर मैं इतना कह सकता हूं कि अधिकारी बैठकों में वही न कहेंगे और कहना पड़ेगा जो ऑन रिकॉर्ड सच्चाई है।
सर्जिकल स्ट्राइक के लिए पूरी तरह से हम भारतीय सेना को सलाम करते हैं। ये आरंभ से ही भारतीय जनता पार्टी और हमारे तमाम लोगों ने ये बोला है। जहाँ तक पॉलिटिकल विल का सवाल है, वो एक निर्णायक सरकार का विल भी हमने देखा है, तो स्वाभाविक रूप से इसमें किसी प्रकार की राजनीति नहीं होनी चाहिए। जो लोग इस पर सवाल उठाते हैं, जो लोग इसके लिए सबूत मांगते हैं और जो लोग खून की दलाली जैसे शब्दों का प्रयोग करते हैं, उनको इनसे बचना चाहिए। ये अच्छी बात नहीं है।
And while that controversy continues, Pakistani troops violated ceasefire once again on Wednesday in Rajouri Poonch sector of Jammu and Kashmir. Unprovoked firing by Pakistani Rangers started at 4:30 p.m. Forward positions were targeted with mortar bombs and automatic arms, to which Indian troops responded in equal measure. No casualties were reported till last reports came in. It was the 30th ceasefire violation by Pakistani troops along the LOC since the Indian Army carried out those surgical strikes in POK to destroy terror launching pads. In other news now, the GST Council is mulling over a 4-tier structure for the goods and services tax. The Council is keen to ensure minimal impact of the new levy on prices and revenue. In fact, experts say that while services could get more expensive, it will be a mixed bag for consumers.
The GST Council that met on Tuesday proposed a 4-tier structure for the goods and services tax. It will include a lower rate of 6%, 2 standard rates of 12% and 18%, and a higher rate of 26%. Currently, most consumer electronic goods attract an excise duty of 12.5% and a VAT of 12.5% to 15%, depending on the state. The combined effect, however, works out to be an indirect tax of 25 to 30% for the end consumer. Thus, a standard GST rate of 12 to 18% will significantly reduce overall indirect tax cost for most electronic goods.
The biggest advantage of this meeting which is taking place, and in case the schedule are prescribed, will be a clarity on the items which are going to be taxed at 6%, 12%, 18% and 26%.
Excise duty at present is nil for goods like textiles, edible oil, footwear, while most states charge VAT between 5 to 8%. If these goods are charged at a standard 12% GST rate, costs could go up slightly for end customers. Similarly, services currently attract an indirect tax rate of 15%. At a proposed GST rate of 18%, services will also be costlier.
It will all depend upon the item which get included in the 18% and the 26%. If more items which are being used by the consumer get included in 18 and 26%, then it will increase the inflation.
In addition to the 4 slabs, the cess has been proposed on sin and luxury goods like aerated drinks, tobacco, pan masala, luxury cars and watches. It is expected to help the government mop up close to 50,000 crore rupees to compensate states for possible revenue loss under the GST regime. Kriti Mishra, Rajya Sabha TV.
And India is pushing for a consensus on a BIMSTEC free trade pact. India's pursuit for rejuvenating BIMSTEC for a cooperative future is significant as the BIMSTEC BRICS outreach eclipsed the SAARC event that was planned for Islamabad in November this year. Experts say that India should lead BIMSTEC with an inclusive vision driven by the economic merits of cooperation. Here's a report.
India is now focusing on strengthening the Bay of Bengal Initiative for Multi-Sectoral Technical and Economic Cooperation, or BIMSTEC. The government is also pushing for a much-needed platform to expedite free trade in the resource-rich zone.
BIMSTEC outreach is essentially widening the scope of India's economic reaching out to its neighbors. BIMSTEC largely has this common asset link of Bay of Bengal.
BIMSTEC is home to over 1.5 billion people, or about 21% of the global population. Also, it has a combined GDP of over 55,000 crore dollars. Despite the global financial meltdown in the recent times, the group has been able to sustain an average 6.5% growth trajectory.
It takes time, the maturity is necessary, industry cooperation is necessary, then more than anything else, the political will to economic liberalization and coming together is necessary. So I think BIMSTEC is relevant.
Experts say it is important not only to highlight the economic potential of BIMSTEC in areas like trade, blue economy, tourism and energy security, but also underscore the need for enhanced connectivity. However, issues of unsettled borders, refugees and ethnic tension among BIMSTEC member countries would pose a challenge to the grouping.
An important challenge is about infrastructure, about connectivity, and road connectivity is there, but there are many problems in that. The other thing which could be exploited and built upon is the railway connectivity.
The group was originally called BISTEC, that meant Bangladesh, India, Sri Lanka, Thailand Economic Cooperation, and was formed at a meeting in June 1997 in Bangkok. Myanmar was admitted in December 1997 and the group expanded when Nepal and Bhutan were admitted in February 2004. Kriti Mishra, Rajya Sabha TV.
In other news, the Odisha police today arrested 4 officials of the SUM hospital in Bhubaneswar a day after a massive fire tragedy claimed at least 21 lives. The police said that serious lapses were detected in the fire safety measures. The National Human Rights Commission on Wednesday also issued a notice to the state government seeking a report within 6 weeks. Prime Minister Narendra Modi today sanctioned 2 lakh rupees each to the next of kin of those killed in the blaze and 50,000 rupees to each of those seriously injured. Union Health Minister JP Nadda, who visited this hospital, said that those responsible for the fire cannot go unpunished. He also asked the government to implement fire safety measures in all hospitals. Nadda also called on the injured victims who were shifted from the fire-hit healthcare facility, and he assured all support to the Odisha government for their treatment.
It is shocking also, painful, and it is worrisome that such incident has taken place. Inquiry is going on, I am told, but on the prima facie, I find some safety issues are there which needs to be addressed. The state government should take adequate steps and necessary action so that the faith of the people is reposed, and accordingly the people who are responsible for it should be punished accordingly.
Tamil Nadu Finance Minister O. Pannirselvam, who recently took over Chief Minister Jayalalitha's portfolios, held his first cabinet meet at the Secretariat on Wednesday. The meeting lasted for about an hour. The cabinet reportedly discussed the ongoing Kaveri River water sharing dispute with Karnataka, appointment of special officers to local bodies, and reviewed the progress of various schemes. Jayalalitha chaired the last cabinet meeting on the 6th of July. Last week, Governor Vidyasagar Rao allocated Jayalalitha's portfolios to Paneerselvam while stating that he will be chairing cabinet meetings in the Chief Minister's absence. Jayalalitha has been undergoing treatment at the Apollo Hospital now the last 28 days. And here are more national news updates in Nationwide. An Mi-17 helicopter of the Indian Air Force carrying officers and men of the 12th Grenadiers on Wednesday crash-landed while on a practice drill in Uttarakhand's Chamoli district. All on board were reported safe, with some receiving minor injuries in the incident. A technical snag reportedly caused the crash landing. Security forces on Tuesday carried out a massive search operation at the Jammu airport after receiving information that 2 people entered the premises after scaling the airport wall. The Indian Air Force sent service helicopters armed with searchlights for the night operation. 1 person was detained for questioning. The Jammu and Kashmir government has not submitted any formal proposal to withdraw the AFSPA Act from the state. Replying to an RTI query, the Home Ministry said that AFSPA is being reviewed from time to time. Earlier this year, Jammu and Kashmir Chief Minister Mehbooba Mufti said that in order to improve the situation in the state, AFSPA should be revoked from some areas as an experiment. All right, with that, we'll take a quick break here. We'll be back with the international news in a bit. Stay with us.
How would you really convince the consumers who start comparing your government with Manmohan Singh's government when it comes to the pricing of petrol, pricing of diesel?
Statistics is saying 50% of the benefit we have passed on to the consumer. I have not hid anything in Parliament.
The scheme talks about 1 gas connection per every household. The opposition, it sees it as a political strategy.
Who prevented them to create this kind of welfare scheme? Is it a sin to think about poor?
Watch To The Point with Petroleum Minister Dharmendra Pradhan only on Rajya Sabha television.
Welcome back. Let's get to some international news now. And the 2 US presidential nominees will face off in the third and final debate later tonight. The stage is set for the debate in Las Vegas at the University of Nevada. The debate comes as opinion polls show that Donald Trump is falling further behind Hillary Clinton in recent days.
With just 19 days to go for the US presidential polls, Republican candidate Donald Trump has intensified allegations that the November 8th election is rigged against him. With these allegations, Trump seems to be faltering in the last leg of his campaign because several studies have shown voter fraud in US elections is rare. Even Republican lawyers have called his assertions unfounded.
The system is also rigged by the donors, giving hundreds of millions of dollars to crooked Hillary Clinton's campaign. It's rigged. It's a bad system. But they even want to try and rig the election at the polling booths, where so many cities are corrupt, and you see that, and voter fraud is all too common. And then they criticize us for saying that.
I mean, be honest with you, since I joined this campaign, I've been astonished at the level of negative coverage of my running mate and the scant coverage of an avalanche of scandals and corruption coming out of the campaign of Hillary Clinton.
However, President Barack Obama urged Trump to stop whining about the election being rigged, saying no serious person could suggest US elections could be manipulated because of their decentralized nature.
Keep in mind, elections are run by state and local officials, which means that there are places like Florida, for example, where you've got a Republican governor who's a Republican appointees are going to be running and monitoring a whole bunch of these election sites. The notion that somehow if Mr. Trump loses Florida, it's because of those people that you have to watch out for, that is both irresponsible and, by the way, doesn't really show the kind of leadership and toughness that you'd want out of a president.
Wednesday night's debate will be the last chance for Donald Trump to make a mark before November 8th, as he tries to reverse his standing in the election that appears to be tilting away from him. He currently trails Hillary Clinton by 7 points in national opinion polls. The past few weeks have been worrisome for Trump as he handles one controversy after another. Clinton has consolidated her campaign by arguing that Trump, with his divisive rhetoric and attacks against Muslims and other minorities, is not qualified to lead the United States. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Iraqi forces continue to advance towards Mosul as the battle to recapture it from the Islamic State terrorists entered the third day. Fighting is likely to intensify in the coming days as IS has vowed not to give in without a fight. Meanwhile, hundreds of civilians fled from the besieged city ahead of the battle.
The battle to recapture Mosul from the Islamic State entered the third day on Wednesday as the Allied forces continued their advance towards the city. After consolidating the positions gained on Monday, the Iraqi army says progress was being made as the forces pushed from two main fronts against the terror group. The troops are expected to arrive in Mosul in a short period of time, but their march could be slowed by explosive devices and booby traps left by militants.
المقاومة ما عندهم أي مقاومة جبناء وشردوا يعني تجاه الموصل تجاه المدينة. فالأرض ملغومة بالعبوات الناسفة وهسه الهند جاي تفكك بها إن شاء الله.
The fighting is expected to intensify as the forces inch closer to the main city. Islamic State militants are believed to be vastly outnumbered, but the fear of them using civilians as human shields is the biggest concern right now. However, Iraq seems resolute to take back its second largest city, which fell to the group in 2014.
قد عرف العالم جيدا أن الدول التي تتعرض إلى احتلال داعش ستحظى بحضور كل دول العالم ولا ينبغي أن تنفرد داعش بشعب البلد اللي تحتله والحكومة اللي تواجهها.
Close to 5,000 US military personnel are advising Kurdish and Iraqi army units and helping target airstrikes. But despite a strong force, dislodging Islamic State from their last stronghold will not be easy.
أما أنت أمريكا فنعدك بما وعدك به مشائخنا تقبلهم الله أمثال الشيخ أبي مصعب وأبي عمر وأبي حمزة وأمثال الشيخ أبي أنس وأبي محمد العدناني.
Mosul will be a difficult fight, and there will be advances and there will be setbacks, but I am confident that just as ISIL has been defeated in communities across Iraq, ISIL will be defeated in Mosul as well, and that will be another step towards their ultimate destruction.
Meanwhile, the UN Refugee Agency has said that around 900 people have fled the besieged city and crossed the border into Syria. Around 1.5 million people are thought to be trapped in Mosul, with nearly 5,000 Islamic State fighters. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Meanwhile, the Taliban has rejected reports of secret meetings with the Afghan government in a bid to resume long-stalled peace negotiations. It has instead insisted that its hardline policy remains unchanged. Afghan officials had on Tuesday said that they had held 2 meetings since September in Doha, but that claim was rejected outright by Taliban spokesman Zabihullah Mujahid in a statement. The Taliban have long insisted on the complete withdrawal of foreign forces from Afghanistan as a precondition for peace talks with the government. Pakistan have hosted several rounds of international talks over the last year to jumpstart peace negotiations with little progress. The dialogue process ground to a halt when the US killed former Taliban leader Mullah Akhtar Mansoor in a drone strike in May. And here are some more international news updates in Global Buzz. Russian Soyuz MS-02 spacecraft carrying crew members of the Expedition 4950 successfully lifted off for the International Space Station. NASA's Shane Kimbrough, Andrei Borisenko and Sergei Rizikov took off from Kazakhstan after their launch was delayed by a month over technical issues. 4 teenage students were shot in a parking lot of 2 San Francisco high schools today. 1 student is in a critical condition. San Francisco police officers said that the shooting occurred as students were being let out of the school for the day. 3 victims ran inside the school and police initially ordered students to stay in place until police searched each room. The Ecuador government acknowledged it had partly restricted internet access for Julian Assange, the founder of the anti-secrecy group WikiLeaks, who has lived in the South American country's London embassy since 2012. WikiLeaks has said that Assange lost connectivity on Sunday, sparking speculation that Ecuador might have been pressured by the US due to the group's publication of hacked material linked to US Democratic presidential candidate Hillary Clinton. Saudi Arabia executed a member of the royal family for murder in a rare case involving one of the thousands of members of the House of Saud. Prince Turki bin Saud Al Kabir was executed for fatally shooting a friend during a brawl. Kabir was the 134th person put to death this year. Amnesty International says that the kingdom carried out at least 158 death sentences in 2015, making it the third most prolific executioner after Iran and Pakistan. And here are some updates from the world of sports in SportsBeat. Kochi became the first Indian city to be officially declared as a venue for the 2017 FIFA U17 World Cup. A high-level FIFA delegation that visited Jawaharlal Nehru International Stadium decided this on Wednesday. It also made suggestions to develop the venue to achieve the required standards. March 2017 is the deadline for making the venue fit for the tournament. Real Madrid thrashed Polish side Legia Warsaw 5-1 in the group stages of the Champions League. Gareth Bale, Marco Asienko, Lucas Vázquez and Alvaro Morata were on target for the defending champions as they stayed behind the German side Borussia Dortmund. Dortmund defeated Sporting Lisbon 2-1 to stay ahead on top with 7 points. Meanwhile, Leicester City maintained a perfect record in Group G by edging FC Copenhagen 1-0. Riyad Mahrez continued his top form as he scored the only goal for the English champions. The Italian giants Juventus also won their encounter 1-0 against the French side Lyon. And that's all we have for you on the news tonight. Thanks for joining us.